And so I have found that by doing skillful research and really just understanding what people want and need, we can often provide it the first time with a great level of attunement and authenticity. And then there's just a great match. And then it creates an audience that's like, oh my gosh, this business gets it. Like, thank you so much. This is exactly the thing that I needed and wanted, and I'm so thrilled to buy.
Step into the world of success with your brand amplified, the ultimate podcast designed to unravel the intricacies of thriving businesses. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I'm on a mission to uncover the stories, strategies, and secrets that have propelled entrepreneurs and business leaders to success. I often say that conversations are a long time coming, and this one truly is. Suzanne Reilley and I have had conversations via email, face-to-face, and I really enjoyed getting to know you over this past year plus, Suzanne, but I'm so glad that we're finally getting you on the podcast. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Let's talk a little bit about your passion and your skill set, your ikigai, if we will, what you love doing and what drove you to that passion.
Sure. So I think, I have many passions within digital marketing. I think, first of all, what brought me to it is that I sort of learned by accident. So I started out as a personal trainer. I was never trained on business or marketing. And so I kind of had to learn on the fly, like I think a lot of people do when they gain a skill set. And then it's like, oh, but you still have to promote yourself and you have to sell your services. And there's nothing, I think a lot of people agree with this. There's nothing more like intimate or somewhat difficult than promoting yourself. I think it's really easy for a lot of people to promote others, but there's something specific about learning to promote yourself. So I did learn, and I think I had always had the sense that business and marketing had to be aggressive. And what I learned through the process and through like mentors I had is that I could just connect with people and I could offer to help them, and some people would want my help and some people wouldn't, and both are perfectly okay. And I got to meet a lot of great people as a personal trainer, and I got to just learn about authentic connection in business and marketing. And then I eventually took it so I started in the gym, and then I was training people in their homes. And those were different scenarios. And then I just got really curious, like, how else can I connect with people? And I get into learning about digital marketing. And so, and of course, there were the fugly stages where I was sending some weird email that was like orange font on brown background. And I'm like, oh God, like, what was I doing? Or just like the video that looks so awkward. And so just definitely went through all those stages. And I feel like it's a continual process. But I think then I really came to like digital marketing, especially working for other brands, because I could see them so much more objectively. It's just really different when it's not your own brand. And so I can very clearly see the business owner's perspective and their goals and all the nuances of their brand. And then I can also see their ideal client and what they're really wanting. And I can see their positioning in the marketplace. And I just really love putting all those pieces together. It's like a big Lego set for me. And I think what's so great about it is that it can be at a foundational level, it can be so simple where the business owner has something to offer and the audience has a need, and it's really just about connecting those two things. It doesn't have to be about forcing anything. It still doesn't have to be about aggression. It can be really respectful of both sides. And it's really just connecting. It's just connecting the two. And so that's what I love about the work that I do.
And I feel like a lot of people come through this pathway into sales, into marketing, into digital, because you're trying it out for your own business. And it is hard. I mean, it's something that I joke about all the time with people. I'm like, yeah, I need to update my website. Oh, my bio on my website is old, outdated, right? I don't have time to post on social media, but these are all things that we have to do to drive our businesses. But as in the marketing field, it's usually easier to focus on our clients and not ourselves. Just like when you are a coach, you have to, of any kind, you have to figure out how to sell yourself. Or even like I think about my boyfriend, and he's a filmmaker, and he'd been doing this for over 20 years when we started dating, and, found some success, but also was very low key introvert and didn't realize, like, hadn't really paid attention to his website, doesn't use social media or LinkedIn. And kind of was like, oh yeah, if I'd done that earlier in my career, I probably would have gone a lot further in this specific path that I loved. So it is funny when people think that you just put everything out there and that people are going to find you. And sometimes they do, but most of the time you have to put intention and work into those efforts. So I'm fascinated by the fact that you started out as a trainer. You realized that you did have to market yourself. And then when you moved to a different kind of training in home, you're like, oh, this is a different kind of marketing, because you also didn't have the power of the gym offering your services, right? It had to be very personal. You had to find the people who are the right fit for you. And then this turned into a whole snowball of like being HubSpot certified, working with multiple clients, writing for 30 big publications, on and on and on and on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what does that look like for you today? Do you have a foot in the world of, training and gyms? Do you just do that for fun now, and you've fully gone into digital marketing, helping people with strategy, brand development, copywriting?
I've really fully gone into digital marketing. I think I knew there was one thing that I wanted to say from what you were talking about before in terms of, I believe it was your boyfriend you said, who was in film and kind of an introvert. And I think it's also really important for us to like honor who we are. Like, yes, there are ways where we have to stretch and be outside our comfort zone, but I think, what I found is that there are so many different ways to share our work and connect with other people that I think it's really important to respect just how we're wired. So I have some clients who are like, they're total extroverts. Their Instagrams are like totally blown up. They have all these followers. They have all this stuff, and they'll come to me for like help with converting their sales. They'll come to me for help in a gap in a different area. But then I also work with introverts who are like, I am not public speaking. You do not have to, it's like, and they're sort of hesitant to share, or they want to share in certain ways. And I think I love working with both, but I really understand introverts because I definitely have a strong introvert side. And I think it's just so important to share in ways that we can relax and be ourselves. And so I have some people who really like doing intimate in-person workshops because they have that like small group. I mean, they happen to appreciate the in-person connection. Like they'll do online, but they're not super, like blown up in that way. So yeah, I just wanted to comment on that I think there are so many different ways to share our work with people. And like, when I was in the gym, like 6 p.m. can be extremely hectic. And like all the trainers are there and all the members are there and I used to go at like 2 p.m. and there'd be like 6 people there and someone would be like, what's up? And I'd be like, what's up? like, and it was like more my vibe. There was less noise. There was less. And like a lot of those people became my clients because we just got to talking and they're like, hey, can you help me with this thing or whatever? And so it's like, yeah, just a total shout out to the introverts and going about things in a way that makes sense for you because there's just a lot of different ways to do it. So back to your question. Yeah. So I really enjoyed training. I really appreciated my clients. I had sort of a I don't know, pretty big career transition. I think, sort of that outward thing, it's sort of like if you're looking for a job, they want all your, they want no gaps. They want everything all buttoned up. And it's like, there's some value in that. And life also doesn't like entirely button up like that all the time. And so, yeah, I went through like a pretty big transition of being like, I really enjoy this, but I think there's something more or
Yeah.
different. I think part of it is I wanted to be able to go deeper with people just in terms of like how the training connected to their life, like the different
Mhm.
ways that it impacted their family, how
Yeah.
it just
Like the whole
their
person.
body, yeah, like the whole
Yeah.
person. And I think at the time I didn't quite know how to do that, so I felt like a little bit lost. And then I think it turned into I sort of grew out of the like what do you call it? Just sort of the general vibe of the industry of like everything has to be again like everything has to be aggressive. You have to be running bleachers in a 90-degree heat. You have to like not eat anything. You have to eat egg whites and like at some point I just like it just dawned on me like that is all just programmed
Right.
nonsense.
Yeah.
Like that is literally not a thing. That is not sustainable. It's just not my vibe. And I think at the time, because I'm like, I just want to go for a hike and enjoy it. And like, I enjoy rock climbing and I want to go hang out with my friends. And like, I don't want to come back and have to write like a blog post about it. And like, and people were like, how do you count macros? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I know that that was a big thing. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. Like, I just, and so,
But that's
yeah.
this is also going back to being true to yourself. And I'm that person like if you say if I sign up for a fitness challenge, I am not going to finish that. I might not even do one day of it because that is not how I'm programmed. I want to
Right.
enjoy, right? And I know for myself when I was having the best, I mean, just talking about gym stuff, when I was having the best results, I was just doing like 20 minutes of weightlifting a day, two
Yeah.
or 3 days a week, and I lost weight, I gained muscle, and that worked for me. And my trainer was perfect for me because that was her vibe. And so it wasn't that, you had to do this hardcore stuff. And there's a place for that. And there are people who love that, but that's not me either. And so what I'm hearing you saying is even when you had people as clients, whether it's in the gym or as digital clients or copywriting or branding clients, you still have to find the people, you have to find your audience, you have to find your people. And it's okay not to use every strategy. And that's something I think people try to do too much of, right? You think you have to be on TikTok and on Instagram and all the social platforms when you might just need to be on LinkedIn and posting about your business and adding value to your audience and
Yeah.
letting people trust you there, right? And then you have a website that backs it up. Maybe you have one social media channel that shows that, yes, you are who you say you are. And then a blog post, right? And it's more organic and natural. And I think that serves audiences much better. Like, this is probably not good to say, but I just decided to drop my email marketing strategy because I didn't really have one. I don't really have time to do emails because I do a million things. And most of that audience are people I know, personal connections from other parts of my life. Yes, some have wanted to be clients, but it just didn't feel authentic to me. I'd rather have those one-on-one conversations or put something out on LinkedIn that people can respond to that's more qualified and deeper, right? And where I'm walking them step by step through a process and giving them information. They don't just have to jump on a call all the time. So that email marketing is fantastic. And I think it absolutely has a place. But for me, it gives me the ick, right? So you have to really think about what works for people and what strategies are right. And it's going to be different for each person and each company.
Absolutely. And I think what I like to teach people is helping them create that path from their ideal clients to their business in a way that works for them. Exactly to what you're saying. Like, there's not just one way. And I like to use my experience and my training, not personal training, but my training in digital marketing to say, like, in my experience, like, here are the pros and cons of this. How does it feel to you?
Mm,
And we co-create a plan together.
nice.
And it's like, for some businesses, and like my friend is in sales, she's in like consultative one-on-one sales. And she's like, Suzanne, why is this company's marketing thing like so complex? And it depends on the company. Like, she's like, why is there a webinar? Why is there this whole big thing? Why is there this whole big, well, maybe they have a really jaded market, or maybe they have like just a longer sales cycle, or maybe, I don't know that company well, but whereas like you said, sometimes other businesses, it can be really simple. It can be like, a LinkedIn focus with a simple landing page and a simple click to buy. Or maybe you have a discovery session, maybe you don't, like, but it can be just like 2, 3 really intentionally focused steps. I tend to err on the side of simpler more than complex. I think just because working on the back end of this stuff, I know that like if you change one thing, there's like 7 other places that you have to.
Yeah, you don't want to have those broken links on a website.
Oh God, and it's like, this needs to be updated now, and this needs to be updated now. And people say like, oh yeah, it's like we're gonna overhaul the whole thing, but that's like less cute than it sounds,
Well, what was the transition like for you to move fully into the space and, stop, like transition your workout clients into somebody else or, whatever that looked like, and then fully go in and really recreate your brand to this new area, this new arena?
That's a great question. So I think definitely when I was working as a personal trainer, I did not have as much of a digital setup. It was just like, I think even in their early stages, I like made these postcard flyers and like someone was making fun of me for it, but I'm telling you, like it was really great. And I lived in a nice neighborhood and like, I made these postcards, I printed them and I dropped them off door to door. Like this was 2000, people are a little more sensitive to that now, but well, I was able to, just like drop them off door to door and people called me like really like prominent people were like, hey, I got your flyer. Like,
Nice.
yeah, like, oh, hey. And so, yeah, anyway, so I did not have as much of a digital brand. I had more personal one-on-one connections and word of mouth. It can make me emotional to think about like parting ways with some of those people because I really, really, you develop a professional relationship with them. And I really appreciated them as people and I really cared about the work. And some of them, we went on like quite a journey together. And so that was hard to say goodbye because I was in DC and I wanted to move to LA. And so I had to say goodbye unless we were going to do something online, which really wasn't a thing then.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to think of what year this was, but yeah, it really wasn't a thing. And so I moved to LA and then I did a little training and it just felt really kind of uphill. Like sometimes something is uphill because you're supposed to work at it. Sometimes I think something is uphill because it's like phasing out of your life. So yeah, so I was training some people in the gym. I was training some people in a studio. I had some part-time jobs. I was pursuing like media stuff. What else was I doing? Oh, and then I was like coaching a friend. And then I continued learning about digital marketing. And I think one of the real pivot points was I was doing Jeff Walker's product launch formula, which that was one of my most impactful trainings. Like I still use stuff from that to this day. And it's very centered around product launches, but the course is extremely comprehensive with doing voice of customer research, learning how to do competitor research, learning how to price your product, learning how to create your product, especially if it's an info product. But I think a lot of the same concepts apply, even if it's something else. Same thing about copywriting, about, did I say brand positioning? Just like I really learned the whole comprehensive nuances of how to create a brand and how to pivot when things aren't quite right or how to connect with an audience and all that stuff. And the team offered to match people into masterminds if anyone was interested. Like they weren't going to lead them, but they offered to match us. And I absolutely said yes. And I got with the mastermind. And so I was organizing the mastermind for a while and we were collaborating on launches. And then I had ended my time with them and I had started with just a single mastermind partner. And she had a pretty established brand and she had a launch that flopped. And I said, hey, like, what do you think about trying to redo this together? And so we decided that I would do the brand strategy and all the copy and all the everything, the sales of the course. And then she would do like the back end stuff, the back end technical stuff, and she would teach it and we would split the profits. And so that was the first time that I really got to dive deep into, because I was like, I just want to do this for someone else's brand. And like, we'll work together. We'll make sure we're respecting your audience and we'll set it up that there's no super downside. And so we did it. And one of the goals was just to run the launch, just try to do it better. And, we had some foundational but intentional goals. And we did great. Like, it was my first launch. It didn't make like a ton of money. I think it made
it's more successful than her last one.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it made a couple $1,000s and like more people signed up and people were more engaged with the content and the product and like having success with it. So I think that was a real pivot point to getting into that. And then it kind of, and then it just kind of like unfolded from there.
Yeah. Well, and you have to start somewhere, and having proof of concept helps build your confidence as well. And now being able to move fully into this work. So you move from LA, back to the East Coast.
Yep.
And what prompted that move? And then how did you then decide, okay, now I know exactly what I'm going to do. Here's how, I'm going to do it with clients all over, not just in my area, and snowball from there.
Definitely. So I think one factor is that, well, the training clients and those people, they were in LA, but the launch, she was in Bermuda. So I also had a taste of remote work and what that was like.
Nice.
And we actually had a hurricane that was like the day of the launch, of course. And so, also just like managing those factors of like, she was very intimately comfortable with her own back-end tech, and I was less so with tech, and certainly her tech in general. And so like the day of the launch, she's like, here's all my passwords. Like if I go dark, like, like you can go in and try to fix stuff. And so it's like, the back end of launches are like always kind of exciting. And then I think so I'm from the East Coast, and so my life came to a point where like a lot of things were changing, and it got to be a lot for me personally. And so it was a time where there was nothing wrong with LA. I absolutely love the city, still do, but like I needed to be in a simpler place.
Yeah.
And I needed to work on myself a bit. And so that's definitely why I moved back. Mm-hmm. But then the beauty of remote work is that
it's remote.
It's remote. Yeah. And so I just kept connecting with people and, just like cultivating the types of projects that worked best at any given time. We were talking about, was it before the call or after we hit record, that like life is not always linear. And I definitely had a very non-linear path. And so I definitely can relate to people who are similar to that. I know a lot of people can relate to that, and just like life being chaotic. So yeah, came back to the East Coast, spending time with family, working on myself, connecting with clients. I've written like a lot of copy for different clients, and I've also done a lot of consulting for different clients. Took media training, so I've been featured in large publications, doing some paid writing for large publications, being on podcasts, and always just bringing it back to what excites me and sort of what resonates with me at any given time and what my goals are. And it has been largely in the same realm with digital marketing and copy and messaging and brand positioning and things like that. Yeah. And I've just always like tweaking the nuances, like these type of copy clients or these type of, as we were saying, it's always kind of like a just checking in on what works best. So
yeah. And it's always evolving because we have some new tactics. I mean, but the baseline of what we're trying, the core, right, of what we're trying to get at is always, how do we best share our story to meet our customers' pain points and provide them with value? That's not going to go away. We might just tweak a little bit about whether we're posting on social media or using paid advertising, how authentic we're being, how, other ways of communication, whether it's being on podcasts, writing articles. So those things change. And maybe how we even get information change. So now we see that you can do a lot of research using AI tools. And some
Mhm.
of it's really good, but some of it you have to be careful to make sure that it's actually accurate and sourced correctly. And people, I think, when, thinking about speaking to your customer and doing that type of research as well versus creating a product and being surrounded by people who are saying, yeah, this is great, but they haven't done that research and figured out who they really want to sell to. And that seems to be something that you also really help your clients get through.
Big time.
Yeah.
And I think it's something, I think it's such an important topic. And the thing is, like, with research, it's similar to, like, if you're in a conversation with somebody and they share something with you and you reflect it back and they go, yeah. Not doing research is like if the person across from you is silent and you say, like, is this what you're thinking? Like, is this what you're thinking? Is this what you're thinking? Is this what you're thinking? And the thing of, and in the business world, every time you ask, is this what you're thinking or is this what you need? It's like a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of resources. And so I have found that by doing skillful research and really just understanding what people want and need, we can often provide it the first time with a great level of attunement and authenticity. And then there's just a great match. And then it creates an audience that's like, oh my gosh, this business gets it. Like, thank you so much. This is exactly the thing that I needed and wanted, and I'm so thrilled to buy. And then the business also, it's such a win-win because then the business has sustainable results into the long term. So, research is something that I'm so, so passionate about. I think, just being in different roles or different spaces where, like, you have to either where they didn't value research at the time or where things were just moving fast. I'm used to kind of doing it on the fly, like just in the back. And also just, I think, learning from people like Jeff Walker and other resources who really, the practice can be just listening to the conversation already happening online. So you can listen to what people are saying in the comment section of social media posts or in Amazon reviews, or honestly, you go through Amazon reviews and you sort of listen to what people are like, their hopes, dreams, fears, and aspirations. You can build a whole brand around that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
2 or 3 or 5 books, and it costs nothing and it's very efficient. You get to know your audience firsthand. Yeah. And it's so, so powerful. So it's something that I love teaching people and I love utilizing, and it's so impactful.
So you do so many different things within the ecosystem. Is there one that's your favorite? And what kind of clients are you working with at this point in time?
Oh, my favorite. That's such a good question.
It's okay to not have a favorite, but
Yeah, I'm so blessed that that's like a difficult question to answer because I think a lot of them are my favorite. I think, sort of the overall answer is like I love brand positioning and copywriting, sort of like the intersection of those two things. One of my very, 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 and just thinking of clients, I was just connecting with a client yesterday, and I don't know if this is like my ultimate, this is definitely a favorite for sure, that I don't think she's ever written any copy, and she's building a brand in the mental health space that's so impactful, can help so many people. She's kind of an introvert. And I taught her about, doing customer research. She compiled 5 to 10 pages of VOC, the voice of the customer, their hopes, dreams, fears, and aspirations, understanding the overall background of what they're saying, as well as the nuances. I taught her about copy frameworks because, Copy Hackers they have a blog post that's like, the ultimate guide to all the copy frameworks you could ever want. And even as someone who's been writing copy for a long time, especially something for like a long form sales page or like absolutely for value propositions, because so much goes into, you have to put your whole brand into like 6 words.
Yeah.
And so it can really, really focus the work. But it's also great for people who've never done it before because they can just plug in the voice of the customer into the different fields. So taught her about VOC, taught her about copy frameworks. We talked about what she wanted to offer, which she kind of already had in place. Talked about how she wanted to offer it. And yesterday, and then I also taught her copy principles. And those can be things like speaking to the reader instead of about your own brand, starting in the middle of the action. Like, don't talk about like the weather for a paragraph and then get into the copy. No, like start just right in the middle of it. And then also just like, using texture like italics, bolding to, and then the layout of the page, just adding spacing for ease of reading, right? Conversationally, things like that. She came yesterday with this half a landing page. I swear she wrote it better than like 90% of professionals. No. And just bam, like just came out with it. And I just love to be able to, I think one of my favorite things is to be able to either highlight people's brilliance or just like bring about their skills like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just like, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. And she's only like 9 sessions into our work.
Nice.
And so it's just, I really like to empower people to have those skill sets themselves and to bring that forward. I always say that I'm happy to work with people into the long term, and I'm happy to be a guide and an advisor as long as they want. But I also want them to grow their own ability.
Exactly.
And, so if something breaks and it's like, 3 a.m. or some weird time, or they're just because things happen when you're in the middle of something. And so I always want people to really be the owner of their own brand.
To feel empowered, and you're really leading them on a transformational journey to feel empowered and to feel like they know their brand and they're confident in what they can put out there.
Yes. And they know why they made different decisions. Like I think I used to do, and there's something wrong with this. I used to do more done for you services where like I wrap my arms around the whole brand and like I know their positioning and I know their customer better than they do. And like I know why their pricing came about and I know why this or that came about. And it's like, that's a great thing and I enjoy it, but really they have to be with me in that ownership. Like they have to know that as well as I do. So yeah, I love working with people who are interested in that process and interested in like really having that ownership and really learning the skill sets and really crafting their own brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that you have an email opt-in on your website and you have a freebie that you're offering the audience today.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that freebie is basically, I put that together, this is more important than any given title than it is. It's basically like how to do a self-audit of your brand. Because people were coming to me and saying like, how do I pinpoint what's wrong? Like, how do I pinpoint what's wrong? And if I know what's wrong, how do I fix it? Mm-hmm. So this is basically, it's kind of like as if I'm the mechanic and saying like, okay, together, like we're going to walk through your brand and say like, this is how you know if this part of your brand is solid or not. Okay. Like now, and here are like steps you can take in the moment to make it strong. And so it's like, let's check each part of your brand and then giving people tools to be able to make it better. Just like we're talking about like the copy or your voice of customer research or your pricing and it's basically all the different elements that I have found to be most important in a successful brand in my experience.
And people just need to go to the website and they'll be able to.
Yeah, they can just go to SuzanneReilley.com. They can sign up for email and it's really simple. I just have it as like an unlisted YouTube video. I didn't want to overcomplicate that or like have a bunch of systems in place. So yeah, they just sign up for email. I give them the link and I give them a checklist. And
nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Suzanne, I always ask if my guests have a favorite quote, mantra, motto, verse, poem, just words that continue to inspire you to keep going, to keep iterating and ideating and figuring out what's next.
That's a great question. What comes to mind when you ask that is that one of my favorite books is from Benjamin Zander. And I believe he's the founding conductor of the Boston Philharmonic. And he wrote a book about positivity. Sometimes I believe in both the dark and the light, but he wrote a book about positivity. And he has a quote that says something to the effect of, gosh, I'm going to butcher this a little bit, but it's something like, I'm basically figure out what I want to do, and I'll simply remove the obstacles. So yeah, we can always have a vision for what we want. And I think those things are more attainable than we give it credit for. Even if the road is rocky or uncertain or dark, like I think we can do a lot more than we think we can.
Fantastic. Well, yeah. Thank you for being so open and honest and earnest and sharing your journey and how you came into this field and then how you like to help people turn what could be in their brains into things that are actionable and that will help progress their businesses.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks again for having me.
Of course. And thank you to everybody who's watching or listening to this episode. I'll be back again with another amazing guest to share their story and their journey very shortly. Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And if you want to learn more, check us out at yourbrandamplified.com.